In today's show, a sobering road trip ends with a beatdown in Houston and an OT loss in Dallas. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, so make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. Woo-hoo-hoo. So, the Blazers' road trip ended with a couple of sobering losses. Their first true beatdown of the season that led to a brief team meeting to address what went wrong and the first time they lost by double digits, and it was a lot of those double digits. And then you wrap up that game in Houston on Friday evening, come back on Sunday to close out a 5-game trip, and you lose in Dallas against a shorthanded and, quite frankly, a team that has been no good in the Dallas Mavericks. Yuck. A sobering end, a 1-4 trip, and now they head back home. We're going to get into all of it. We'll do our fastest recap in the West for both games. We'll talk the Houston Rockets loss and the loss to the Mavericks. We'll get into both of those things. We'll talk a little bit about kind of where they are, and in light of that, in light of what this trip meant, in light of sort of some of the expectations heading into this trip, and where the Blazers were 13 games in is a long season, but where we feel like they are now. That's the royal we, because I'm just going to talk to you and you can listen. That's our relationship here on the podcast. Let's get into this though. Friday night, Cup game. Houston's got a red court. I don't particularly care for it. Maybe you like it. Houston has a good basketball team. This is a meaningful game if you're into the Emirates Cup. I usually don't use the branding. I apologize. If you're into the NBA Cup. And if you're not into the Cup, this is an important game because Houston's really good, and it's going to be a nice little measuring stick to find out where the Blazers are. And where they are is getting pummeled, 140-116. This wasn't over early, though. Blazers down 9 after 1, down 9 at halftime, down 14 heading into the third, right? Like, they're down double digits. Houston led by as many as 23 in that third quarter. It feels like a blowout. This game feels like a blowout, but, you're down 14. You score the first 5 points of the quarter, it's a 9-point game, you're in it, right? It's the scoreboard says otherwise, although, if you watch that third quarter, I thought Denny Avdia had a real stinker of a first half, had a really nice third quarter to kind of keep the Blazers in the game. They're going to need to steal some minutes, right? They're shorthanded, they're reliant on kind of their top guys to be their top guys. They're going to have to steal some minutes to open the fourth quarter and see if they can close. No chance. 13-2 Houston run out of the gates to open the fourth quarter. It's a 25-point game, 3 minutes and 30 seconds into the fourth quarter. It's over, 118-93. The Blazers did not get closer than 23 in the final 8.5 minutes of the game. They waved the white flag for real, put in their bench with 4.5 minutes left, and they lose 140-116. That's your fastest recap in the West. This was probably the first true stinker. Denny Avdia still ended up looking like pretty impressive box score other than the 7 turnovers, but I thought the first half in particular, this was the first time that I thought a team was really able to take him out of a game, and it speaks to kind of how good he's been this season, such that a 22-point night is he wasn't that good, and he wasn't. That's an honest truth, but I do think that game was particularly sobering because it's Houston is just straight up better. Yeah, and sometimes it'll happen that way, right? Like I said, Denny finishes with 22 and 10, but he had 7 turnovers. He struggled. They needed a little bit more from him, and he obviously is carrying an unfair weight. Shaedon Sharpe was fine. He had 19. Not a particularly loud night from Jeremy Grant. Not a particularly loud night from Drew Holiday. They both had 13. He just needed more. And the Rockets were, they're the number 1 offense in the league. They looked like it. They're a top 10 defense. They looked like it. Steven Adams came in and dominated the game off the bench. I mean, he's like one of the great rebounders in the history of the sport, and he played like it. Yeah, I don't think there's much more into this game. We'll get into the Mavs game in a moment. I think the notable thing here is that two things. I'll give you a sneak peek. After this game, the Blazers, it took, according to reporting from Joe Freeman of the Oregonian, an extra, say, 15 to 20 minutes longer, like a long period for them to open the door. And Freeman reported that there was like a sort of a players only meeting. Not that I think this was like a freak out players only meeting, according to the reporting from Freeman, but this was like hey, this is the first time all year we've lost by double digits, and we didn't just lose by double digits, we got throttled, right? Like we lost by 20-some, by 24, right? And so there was a moment to kind of just say like, hey, what went wrong? Where are we? Like, this feels like a moment that we should discuss. And I think that's like a healthy and important thing to do. But part of that is how you respond. Part of the, like, if you're going to close the doors and like, players should do what they do, right? That's responsible. I'm glad we have reporters on the road to like give us an insight of what's happening. That hasn't always been the case in recent seasons with the Blazers and the press corps. And I myself, as someone who doesn't travel with the team, I was very appreciative of folks on the road doing the work of reporting, right? I don't think this is I don't think the players only meeting is this like big deal, but it is a big deal if you feel the need to discuss it. It means that you are understanding, hey, this was bigger than just because, the doors are going to open, the media is going to come in, right? That this isn't going to just like, it doesn't just evaporate. There's going to be something, this is going to be broadcast in some way. The question isn't like, oh, what did you talk about and did it work? It's how you respond, right? Because like the talking and you can only press this button so many times. We need to talk about it. They didn't respond particularly well in Dallas. We'll talk about that more in a moment. I think this Houston game was sobering because it's like, oh yeah, that's what a really good team looks like. Like I think the Rockets are like a team that is good enough to win the championship. I probably wouldn't pick them to win the championship, but I do think they're talented enough and their roster is good enough that they could win the championship. And it's like, oh yeah, that's not what the Blazers are working with on the road right now. Obviously one game, but like it was a game that kind of showed you the distance, right? The other important thing before we move on from this game is that this kind of probably kicks the Blazers out of their cup hopes. They're going to need a little bit of help. Everybody in their group is 1-1, but the Blazers now have a differential of -22. They don't have the head-to-head against Houston, so they need Houston to lose a second time. But it's like, can they catch? Denver has them beat by 41 in the point differential. San Antonio has them beat by 32 in the point differential. Like, can they catch those teams, even if they end up with the same record? Because it's head to head and then it's differential. So Blazers already played Denver, so they would have the head to head. You can't lose again. You can't be a 2-loss team and make it. So they're that level of beatdown probably just about ends their hopes in the cup. But when the game's in front of you, you'll have at least you'll be in shouting distance and maybe have a puncher's chance, but that was not how you wanted the cup to go. I mentioned the closed door team only meeting, right? Like a conversation the players wanted to have. Rob Williams and Drew Holiday and Jeremy Grant kind of, at least according to reporting from Joe Freeman, like kind of leading the talk, right? Your oldest, most veteran player saying, and Denny speaking up, and Freeman said that even like younger players did too, like Caleb Love, etc. Like everybody kind of says their part. Here's what we all need to do, accepting responsibility, right? Some of the way you're going to be judged, like some of it is just like you're going to be judged that it existed, right? You're going to see the words "players only meeting." We're going to say, "Oh, players only." Oh, I think it's mostly not that big of a deal. But you're going to be judged how you respond. How do you play the next game? Do you come back and play, even if you lose? Do you come back and play at a level that is like shows that you understood what needed to be done? I don't think the Blazers did that, but they also played without Drew Holiday. Let's talk about that game in Dallas that came down, that went to overtime, and they had chances to win in the final minute, and they just didn't do the things you want to see them do. We will do that in the second segment. Join me there. First, though, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You play for the win, not just on game day, every day, locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends Advanced tools. Or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Today's program is also brought to you by Game Time. The Blazers are finally going to be back in the building on Tuesday when they host the Phoenix Suns, and you could be there too by using the Game Time app. Nothing beats being in the building, and Game Time takes the guesswork out of getting yourself into those seats. It's the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets, because if you've ever bought tickets, you know that there can be all types of things, like queues to wait in or just surprise fees where prices jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is be in the building and cheer on your fighting pinwheels. So that's why you use Game Time. When you're browsing Game Time, it's what you see is what you get pricing. You can even find tickets, depending on where you want to go, for as cheap as $25 and less. Plus, they got zone deals. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA, for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. All right. Blazers get blown out on Friday night. They hold a little players-only meeting to talk about their first double-digit loss of the season. They've pretty much been in every game. They played a bunch of close games. They've hung with teams. They've played kind of up and down to their competition, but they haven't gotten rolled. They get rolled on Friday night. They stay in the locker room to chat about it. How will they respond? Well, one of the challenges with not being able to respond is they're not going to have Drew Holiday. He misses the game with what the Blazers are calling right calf soreness. Tiago Splitter told reporters before the game that Drew was going to warm up and see how it goes. It'd be a game time decision. Game time comes around, Drew is out. So whenever someone gets put as a late add to the injury report and they drop to questionable, you know that they're very unlikely to play, because it just means like, hey, we've been talking to him, he's not right. And so it's not a surprise. Once he made the injury report kind of late in the day on Sunday, it seemed like inevitable that he would not be playing basketball that evening, and he didn't play. And the Blazers have to kind of just do what they do. They start exactly the way you'd expect them to. Denny Avdia taking most of the point guard minutes, Jeremy Grant moving in the starting lineup alongside Tumani Kamara, Shaedon Sharpe, the aforementioned Denny, along with Donovan Clingan. Those are your five best healthy guys. But you're going to need more from your bench, right? You're going to need more from your bench. There's just not a lot of ball handlers on this bench. That is true. Even if this team is fully healthy, they're not deep at guard. They're just not. Blake Wesley has been a nice surprise, but he's not like this elite point guard. Drew Holiday's probably best as playing toggling between true point guard and combo guard, although he's been a great playmaker this year for the Blazers, no doubt about it. Scoot Anderson is probably their only pure point guard, and even him, he has some warts as a young player, right? They're just light at guard. I don't think they signed Damian Lillard after he got an Achilles injury. I don't think you can count him on the injury report. He was on the injury report before he joined the team, and he was on the injury report in perpetuity after joining the team this year. It's just it is what it is. They knew what the roster kind of exists without a lot of ball handlers, not a lot of playmakers, and then when Drew goes down, boy, is it clear. But they're playing a bad Mavericks team. This team's bad. They're 3-10. They're one of the worst offenses in the league. They're playing without Anthony Davis, who I believe has missed 7 consecutive games. They're fire frickin' Nico Harrison really late into the game, but it's Kyrie Irving's maybe going to play in the spring if he plays at all this year. This is a team kind of in a little bit of a bad place, right? I think the Mavericks probably fancy themselves. At least I thought they would be a 500 level team, and they're worse than that. And they the offense has been really bad. Defense has been good, but the offense has been really bad. How do they score? This is without Drew, I don't even think you put it in the should win category for the Blazers, just because of the realities of their roster. But This was a game they could have won. Let's do our fastest recap in the West quickly because we got to get to this crunch time because, boy, did it get dicey. Blazers up 8 after 1, up 4 at halftime. Letting a bad team hang around is always troublesome. Up 6 heading into the fourth quarter. But Mavs balled in the fourth, right? They're up 5 with 4 minutes left. The Blazers had to rally themselves even to get to overtime. Jeremy Grant gets fouled shooting a 3. Did he get fouled? They didn't show the replay on the Blazers broadcast, which makes me think he did not get fouled. I didn't go back and watch it on the Mavs broadcast, but I'm going to say 0 replays makes me think not a foul. Who cares? They called it. Buckets, makes all 3 free throws. Blazers up 2 with 1:17 left. Cooper Flag comes down, gets in the middle of the paint, makes a little floater, kind of like over Shaedon Sharpe, tie ball game. On the ensuing possession, Sharpe draws a foul, splits a pair of free throws. Cooper Flag draws a foul, splits a pair of free throws. We've now got a tie ball game, 118 with 51.7 seconds left. The Blazers choose not to take a timeout. I don't understand this. More on this in a moment. I don't understand why you don't take a timeout here. The Blazers try to get 2 for 1. And Denny Avdia, who's been great in this game, like he bounced back from kind of a stinker in Houston to be like he was really, really good in this game until kind of things went haywire for him. But he's been really good. And the Blazers go to him and he tries to get to his right hand and he ends up like Denny knows what they want, right? He ends up taking like a little weird mid-range jumper from the right wing in order to preserve the 2 for 1 because they want to take a shot with, like between 35 and 32 seconds left in order to make sure they get the final possession of the game in a tie ball game, and Denny takes a 17-footer from the right wing that he misses. Do I think Denny Avdia can make that shot? I do. Obviously, I do. He's a good basketball player. But it's not a comfort shot for him. It's not a shot he ever takes. It is not something that is in his normal repertoire. Capable, absolutely. Used to, comfortable with, something that is a go-to move for him in a tie ball game with the clock ticking under a minute left. No. Forget the 2 for 1. Get the best shot. The most important thing you can do there is get the lead, right? You want both, but you don't want to take a shot that you don't want to force one because the math says you need another possession. Do not let the nerds win. That's why you call timeout. Set something up. They don't call timeout. They get a stop. Cooper Flag misses a little mid-ranger, incredibly short, grazes the front rim. Blazers get the rebound with 10 seconds left. They don't call timeout here. I have no problem with this. I like not calling. With 10 seconds left, the ball in Denny Avdia's hands going the other way, I love not calling a timeout. I hated what Denny chose to do. I didn't like the first lack of a timeout with a minute left. I like the lack of timeout with 10 seconds left. That to me is good coaching. You don't want them with a minute left, you're playing against a set defense. Cooper Flag makes his free throw. There's no advantage gained by giving them a timeout there. They're going to run back. They're going to play set defense, whatever. When Denny Avdia gets the rebound with 10 seconds left, he can push. He can push. He can get an unbalanced floor. He can get an advantage, even if they're back and knowing that, like, and playing like ready for him. Right? It's just very different. It's very different. And Denny Avdia takes an absolutely outrageously bizarre shot. Bizarre, bad. Let's be clear. Capital B, bad, but bizarre. Gets across half court. Sizes up his defender. Clock's ticking under 6 seconds. 4, 3. You just know he's going to shoot a 3 now because he hasn't attacked. He's outside the three-point line. He takes a step back going to his right from about 3 feet beyond the three-point line. Barely grazes the front rim. We're going to overtime. What is that? What is that shot? Do you practice that shot? Is that a good shot? Do you practice that shot? No, it's just use your superpower. Denny is one of the best downhill drivers in the NBA. Denny Avdia has been playing at all-star level production this year. He is like on the short list of dudes who are going to make the all-star team. I don't know if he will. It's a crowded field. It's whatever, right? It'll be hard. But has he played at an all-star level this year? Absolutely. Blazers we're talking about how he's averaging 29 a game in November. Include the October games, y'all. What count all of them. Dude's been hooping all year long. It's been great. Kind of had a stinker in Houston, but he ended up box score looks great, 22 and 10. He's been really good in this game. Use your superpower. Drive to the rim. Get inside. You've heard me say this a bunch if you're a regular listener to the show. My strong belief in basketball is that you should do what you're best at as often as you can. What is your strength? Do that every time down the floor. Deni Avdija is one of the best players in the league, and certainly one of the best players on the team, probably the best player on the Portland Trail Blazers at knowing what he does best. He plays to his strength. Certainly the most productive player who plays to his strength, right? He's a beast going downhill. You get a left shoulder from Deni Avdija, you're not guarding that. If he can square you up with that offhand, that off shoulder, and get to his right hand, he's as good as there is in the league on that. And you take and you settle, you choose, to be clear, he chose to take a step back 27-footer with in a tie ball game. Nonsense. Drive to the rim. Get fouled. They've been calling a bunch of fouls in this game. Get to the rim. Use your superpower. Okay, you go to overtime. I honest to goodness, I think the Blazers lose the game when Deni Avdija takes that three. Weird stuff happens after that, but to me, those two possessions, Deni taking a mid-range shot because they wanted to preserve the extra possession, not taking a non-comfort shot, just a shot that is not in his repertoire. Can he make it? Yes. Should he take it? No. It's just those are two different things to me. And then settling for a step back 27-footer in that moment. To me, those two possessions at the end of regulation decided the game. Overtime is really weird. Jeremy Grant hits a three. Shaedon Sharpe drives paint, kicks to the right wing. Jeremy Grant hits a three. Minute 46, Blazers are up 129-128 in overtime. The ensuing possession, they go down, and Deni Avdija grabs Daniel Gafford. He grabs him with both hands, grabs his forearm, and pulls him. That is a foul. That's a foul. That is a letter of the law NBA foul. It is a really weird time to call that foul. It is a really weird time to call that foul. In fact, Deni stood there and said, I can't believe you called that. 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 And I'm with Deni. I cannot believe they called it in that situation. A really, really bogus time to call that foul. Letter of the law, that's a foul. It's 100%. Two hands on someone's forearm and a tug. That's a foul. The ref that called it has been in the league 33 years. Saw the foul, called the foul. 70-year-old man reffing the game. Saw the foul, called the foul. Let's talk about the end of this game because this foul out changed the game for the Blazers. We'll talk about that and kind of where the Blazers are in the third segment. Join me there, won't ya? First, though, let's talk FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. The NBA season is rolling, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to just ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score the next bucket to who's going to commit the next foul to who's going to come back in the fourth quarter or melt down in the clutch if you're a hater. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Find a bet you like, put down $5 on it. Go with confidence. You get $300 in bets to use across the FanDuel app. Head to FanDuel.com right now to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today's program is also brought to you by DUER. They're making really comfortable jeans. My favorite jeans, my DUERs. I'm rocking the performance denim in a relaxed taper. And DUER, they're just so stinking comfortable. They got 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. They're made with Cool Max, which regulates your body temperature and wicks moisture. Plus, they feel stretchy without looking stretchy. So you can look dressed up, you can look nice, you can look presentable, but you have the comfort of performance wear. Truly the best of both worlds, because DUER are the pioneers of bending technical innovation with everyday clothing. They invented the original performance denim. Simply put, DUER makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. Trust me, once you try these, they'll be your go-to. And you can check DUER out at their store right here in Portland. It's on 23rd at 820 Northwest 23rd Avenue. You pick a pair for yourself or for someone you know and love, because they make an amazing holiday gift. And you can mention my promo code in store, LOCKEDONPortland. You get 15% off your first order. Check them out online. Shop DUER.com/LockedOnPortland for 15% off. That's shopDUER.com/LockedOnPortland. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You're still listening to Locked On Blazers. When we last left off, the referee, a veteran official, made what I think is a bogus call in the moment. Like, I think it's whack. I think it's very whack to call that foul. It's whack for the vibes. It's whack for the product. It's whack for the Portland Trailblazers. It's whack for Denny Avdia. It's a foul, though. You got to lie to kick it. That's a foul. It just sucks in that moment. And that really changed the game for the Blazers. I don't think it's the reason why they lost, but it was certainly a reason why they lost. So Daniel Gafford steps to the free throw line. He hits 2 free throws. Mavs go up 1. Blazers kind of panic, right? They don't have Drew Holiday, tone setter. They don't have Denny Avdia, a guy who's just really good at kind of creating that initial advantage. Shaedon Sharpe kind of rushes a 3. You know, they need him to shoot, right? But he had a big game, shot the ball a lot, but had a big game. And at that point, he's their best shot creator on the floor, you know, but I thought he kind of rushed a shot. That rush 3 leads to a run out. PJ Washington gets a dunk. Shaedon Sharpe tries to drive in the next possession. I like the aggression. Gets all the way to the rim. Misses a dunk. No foul call. I don't think it was a foul. Live, I didn't think it was a foul. I thought it was just a good contest at the rim. But there have been a ton of foul calls. I wouldn't have been surprised if they'd called that in that game. That Mavs go the other way. Daniel Gafford kind of gets it inside, kind of underneath and in between the baseline, and Donovan Clingan is able to put up a bucket and score. Mavs are up 5. Now the Blazers are kind of like in scramble mode, right? You got like a minute left. You've got to score quick. Jeremy Grant gets into the paint, gets fouled. Gafford, just a very stupid foul. Commits a foul. Grant misses the free throw. Would have been an and one on his layup. The ball goes out of bounds. It probably hit Cooper Flag last. It did. It probably hit Cooper Flag last. Blazers probably should have got the ball back. But they're out of challenges. It is what it is. Like, the sport is. They changed the rules, so out-of-bounds calls have to be challenged. You save your challenges, or you pick your spots to challenge, so you have that. The Blazers challenged a block charge call earlier in the game. That one I liked the challenge, at least process-wise, because it would have taken points off the board, but the call's upheld. You don't have a challenge. Now you're at just like the hands of the referees, and you're down 3, but there's 50 seconds left. Defend, you'll have a chance. Brandon Williams, former Blazer great, gets a switch, gets to the rim on Shaedon Sharpe, and hits a pretty tough layup. 5-point game with 30 seconds left. Peace. You're going to need a miracle. Blazers don't have a miracle, miss a couple threes, and they lose 138-133. We are almost 30 minutes into the program. That's your fastest recap in the West for both games over the weekend. I took my time with these because I think they're very different games, but they're sobering for different reasons. The Rockets game is just like, yeah, that's what a really, really good team looks like, and the Portland Trailblazers currently don't have that. Okay, fine. Kind of knew that going into the season, right? They're gonna grow into what they're gonna become. We'll kind of they'll kind of figure it out, right? They'll grow into what they become. I'm not too worried about that. The Mavs game's bad though, because the Mavs game the offense looks really clunky down the stretch. They miss Drew Holiday. They're already not a very good half-court offensive team, but they really missed Drew Holiday. They had some opportunities in this game, particularly in the fourth quarter and early in the kind of letting the Mavs hang around the second quarter, where it's like they could have just built bigger leads. They played just like 2 bad possessions in the final minute of regulation. I think bad coaching by not taking a timeout. Denny Avdia does the right thing by chasing a 2-for-1, but if you really want to chase a 2-for-1, draw it up. Get what you want. Put your stamp on the game. Do not go into overtime with 2 timeouts in your pocket. Blazers like not taking a timeout in the final 2 minutes at all. Not taking a timeout in a friggin' tie game with a minute left is just perplexing. I don't get that. And this is a bad loss. On this trip, I don't think Miami's that bad. They're not that good, but they're fine. They're mediocre. Orlando they're fine. People thought they were going to be really good, but I think they're probably a competitive team, right? Those are probably 2 teams that will play postseason basketball in the East. New Orleans is no good. They beat them, but it wasn't a particularly meaningfully impressive game. Houston is a beatdown, right? Sobering beatdown. So then Dallas, like, if you win this game against the Mavs, right? You win this game against the Mavs. Blazers be 4-4 on the road this year. Certainly, like a 2-3 road trip isn't. You wouldn't feel great about it, but you would just be, first of all, you'd be above 500. You'd be like, well, a winning record. What are you going to, it's all good. It's all good. If you had said back at the beginning of the year that after the first 13 games, they'd be 7-6, I'd be pretty excited. I'd take it, right? Obviously, there's been some context of who has and has not played in some of the Blazer games, but what I think this road trip showed us is that, I think early in the year, it felt like, hey, this team is feisty enough to play themselves into any game. And now I feel like this team is flawed enough to be in any game. There is no amount of Pelicans game is 4-point game with 2.5 minutes left. Mavs game is just I guess, Cooper Flagg had a great second half. He was really good in that game, really good in the second half. But it's Cooper Flagg and PJ Washington and some Big Mac, a couple Big Max Christie buckets, and they can't contain Brandon Williams, and Klay Thompson was hot early, and it's the defense hasn't been as good as I thought it would be to kind of prop them up, and they have obvious flaws that let me use personal pronouns, that I expected them to have heading into the season, and now I'm not to me, I don't know. I thought they were in terms of what I predicted they would be, they are right in that range. Right? I said they were going to be a 39-win team. So I don't know. It's they're 6-7. This team sucks. I'm not trying to sell you on that. What I'm trying to sell you on is this. Early in the season, you kind of find out what a team can be, the ranges. And I think we've seen the Blazers play really tough. Winning against Denver is a really tough game. And we've seen maybe the other side of it when they just got shellacked in the fourth quarter by Houston, right? They just got rolled. But I think the middle stuff, sort of your non-polarity outcomes, has been they just find themselves, due to their flaws, due to their defense probably not being as good enough and their offense having its own flaws, they just kind of find themselves in close games all the time, unable to run away from teams. And so they're going to just be subject to crappy reffing and a couple bad decisions and when you get into games that are decided by 2 or 3 possessions, 2 or 3 bad possessions here and there are the difference. And I think the Blazers just general vulnerability has been exposed. Maybe not this team stinks or whatever, or this team is really good and they're underachieving and fire Thiago Splitter or any nonsense like that. I don't think you can make necessarily big claims, but I think what I feel after watching this road trip is they're just general vulnerability. There is no game all year long that feels particularly safe. If you can't beat the 3-10 Mavs, even in a long road trip, right? This is all of it, right? But this is a winnable game in Dallas, winnable game in Miami, winnable game in Orlando. They are vulnerable against any level of opponent to be kind of get caught in the mix and find themselves on the wrong side of things. I think that's the real takeaway here. We will do more shows the rest of this week, 5 of them. As another programming note, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice that I'm not in my home, or at least I'm not in the place that I normally record because I am I am somewhere else. Indeed, I'm going to travel. I'll be back on the road. So the Blazers play Phoenix on Tuesday evening. I'm going to miss that game due to travel, but I will watch it and I will record a podcast about it. It just might be in your feed a little bit later. So that would be Wednesday's program, the show I record on Tuesday evening after Tuesday's game. So Wednesday's program, I will likely be a little bit later in your feed. I'll do my best to not have it be too much later, but then I'm back. And I don't have any. Well, I have some future trips planned, but y'all just have to deal with that when you find out about it. In any case, I appreciate you rock with me. Thanks for your patience with me this week as I figure out how to travel as I had to record as I'm traveling. Tell your friends about the program. Tell them they can get it wherever they get podcasts 5 days a week, even if sometimes it's a little bit later than normal. Wherever they get podcasts, and also on YouTube. I appreciate you listening. I will talk to you soon.